At Tracks and Tackle, we've always said one thing, and that's hunt your hunt any way you want to do it. You want to go chase whitetails with a bow or sit in a blind in the early morning with your family? You want to go run public land or chase birds with your... We all know there's no one singular way to go out and get the job done. So that's why we at Tracks and Tackle are excited to bring you the Hunt Your Hunt line of shirts, hoodies, and hats. Real gear for real people. Up early, out late, run in the woods, run in the water. Bringing outdoors back to what it should be. Respect for each other, respect for the hunt, respect for nature, and respect for everybody's choice to do it the way that they choose to do it. Tracksandtackle.com. Check it out. All the gear that you need, plus every penny from every purchase goes right back into the show so that we can keep the stories and the traditions coming your way. Show us some love. Tracksandtackle.com.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Tracks and Tackle podcast, your hunting camp away from camp. I'm your host, Ron Mentzer, and tonight I got my partner back with me, my right-hand man, co-host Chris Bookman, back in the chair with me.
What's up,
and
dudes?
we're joined by a great guest tonight. We got Dave from Lemon River Outdoors. Dave is the kind of guy who does it all, chasing wild game, breaking it down, cooking it, building his own rods, camping, backpacking, canoe camping, and most importantly, bringing the whole family along for every adventure. And that's the thing that makes the outdoors even richer. It's what it's all about. Real guys sharing real experiences, keeping the traditions alive for the next generation. Nature's our playground. Let's jump in. All right. Good evening, fellas. How's everybody doing?
Good. So far, so good. Yeah, I had met Dave. I just saw he posted some cool stuff on Instagram. He was always posting these really, I guess they all are, but like he posted these really epic and kind of meaningful Bible verses every Sunday. And no context. It was just a black background. It wasn't like these. I'm not making fun of them when I say it, but it wasn't like this one trying to put a scene and
Picturesque Bible
all
verse.
this different stuff. It was just black background and it's a cool thing. And I would repost it. And then he put some fishing pictures up and there was some stuff with his kids. And I forget what it was that kind of gave me a clue that he was somewhere from around here, but I messaged him and he's only from a couple minutes away. So we have the same pizza place in Spring Grove, our favorite pizza place. So I'm still not going to say what it is. See if people can guess what it is. He'll say it when he comes back here. But yeah, we've been messaging and stuff and hooked up. We couldn't hook up earlier. I got to choose my words better, I think, when I'm talking about meeting.
Met a guy online. We couldn't hook up.
Couldn't hook up. We couldn't make the podcast happen right away because he went on a pretty epic fishing trip in Canada.
Yeah, we'll get him to tell us some stories about that. I'm noticing I trimmed down the facial hair this morning.
Yeah.
And boy, it makes my face look a little round on camera.
This is about as good as mine gets. Can you see it?
Yeah. Defined a little bit.
I can grow like Civil War sideburns to like here.
The mutton chops.
Yeah. Everything comes in real good to here. And then I get, viewer discretion, listener discretion, I get like chingina. I have like a little line right here where it doesn't grow. The rest is good and it grows real fast. So there he is. We were telling epic facial hair stories while you were gone. That works.
The man with the mustache. He's back on.
I was saying I can grow everything like really good to like right here. I'm 44 and this is about as good as it gets.
Looks good. Not everybody can do it, but I can't grow on top. So I just got to grow where
I'm
I can.
holding on there. I'll trade what I got.
Yeah.
I went to private school and I work in law enforcement. So Well, I'm allowed to grow beards, but I've shaved and had all that stuff for so long that now after 3 or 4 days, it drives me nuts. So I got to have it. And my wife is not crazy about it either. So sometimes if you ever see me with a mustache, that's me trying to annoy her.
There you go. I know I grew a full beard from No Shave November on. Like I shaved the mustache and everything for No Shave November at the beginning of it, and went till like end of January, February, and then cut it back off and started over.
Phew. My dad and my brother. My dad has a regular beard. Both my brothers have like the ZZ Top, like Duck Dynasty beards.
Nice.
So
your dad's the representable one of the group.
Yeah.
Got a normal beard.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, how did you and Chris connect, and tell us a little bit about your story?
I guess we connected through Instagram. It's just one of those things, something popped up and, liking each other's stuff. And I don't know, somehow figured out we were both not too far away from each other, 20 minutes away from each other. And then so I guess we started chatting, got the invite, and happy to accept the invitation.
We have the same favorite pizza place.
Yes.
So dig it for sure.
Jim and Nina's, right?
Yep, Jim and Nina's. Okay. Yeah.
The one in Spring Grove, not the other ones.
Not the other ones. The one in Spring Grove. Yeah, right there on the turn.
Because
it's good.
York, New Salem one is okay, but not as good as Spring Grove.
So there's other ones. Are they all the same, or is that just?
There's one in like West York, and I think it was something to do with originally they were the same, and now they're all like parted off a little bit.
Because like Genova's in Spring Grove is not the same Genova's that's in like Maryland and Hanover,
right,
and all that stuff. So no, we love that place, man. It's not that expensive to take all the kids.
Yep.
It feels like you're like in like the 50s in there. They haven't changed the atmosphere, and
exactly
food's good. And
it's still serving on like paper plates. So
and everybody gets it to go. So you can go there on a Friday night and actually sit down.
Right.
And you're not fighting people. Like people are delivering and picking it up all night. So we'll go there and
get some fountain drinks. Pizza Burger Sub.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right. That's my go-to from there.
Okay, I'll try it next time I go.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by
Jim and Nina's in Spring Grove. So yeah, we had. That's the short answer to. I realized he was semi-local, and we started talking and kind of hit it off. I had said that you would. You put some Bible verses up every Sunday. Do you do it every Sunday?
Yeah, Sunday. I try to do it first thing in the morning.
We were off while you were kind of reloading and stuff. I said, what kind of caught my eye was like you weren't trying to do like these pretentious, like let's put a scene behind it and make it look. It was just black screen with text, and it always stood out, and kind of always hit the right spot. Like that's what people need. So we'll keep rolling. We'll get back into that in a couple minutes here.
Perfect. Yeah, I want to hear about it. So, Dave, what's like paint a picture for me, like a day in the life of Lemon River Outdoors, because it sounded to me from your bio, you like to do it all.
Yeah, I like to do it all, but, normal work like everybody else does, 2 young kids trying to, keep after them. But my wife knows that my therapy, and for me to be right, I need 1 day a week. So, now maybe I'll bank those 10 days in a row and then I have to, push it off a little bit. But normally I get one weekday, an evening that I can either fish, I can hunt, no questions asked. The second one I need to ask for, get a little permission. But one, we're good. Fridays and Saturdays, if like I tell her, it's no November really, okay, we got a wedding to go to. No, we got to question that.
Certain times a year, we got to work around the schedule.
Yeah, I'm going to be in the woods first thing, and then we'll figure it out if I can make the wedding or not, type thing. But yeah, so it's one of those things. Got to keeps me mentally there. It's my therapy is to be out. Then tying that in, you can't always get out in the woods or on the water. So I figured out some other hobbies that go along with it. So like building fishing rods or butchering, figuring out other ways to use wild game. So, all comes along with it. Really being an outdoorsman never stops for me. So, it just continues on.
Yeah, being an outdoorsman is more than just being an angler or being somebody that hunts. Being an outdoorsman is a breed of its own. Tell me about Lemon River Outdoors. What is that? How did you get started? How did you start your Instagram or your YouTube, or Just tell us a little bit about it.
So, yeah, like everybody, you have a personal Instagram, you have a personal Facebook, and then you don't want to show that all to everybody. Somebody, your next door neighbor might not want to see that, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But my personal stuff, I'll sprinkle that in, to give, but they don't want to see it every day, and I get that. And they want to see the kids and the family on the socials for that stuff. So I decided to make a separate Instagram, separate Facebook account, and been going with that to kind of show what's going on in the outdoors for me. So that's where anybody can get inundated with anything like that towards the outdoors for me. And then the YouTube just kind of started. If I would be 20 years younger, I'd probably have a different career path. I enjoy photography. I enjoy videography. It's just something I'm not any good at it, but
no, you're good, man. I was checking out the channel.
Well, thank you.
It held my attention, which is all YouTube is.
Yeah.
Can you hold someone's attention?
Well, thank you. And with that, I just wanted to document what I'm doing in the outdoors. I get to go on a couple cool trips a year. Just little things too. More of a scrapbook of the outdoors too. Maybe I can throw in some tips and tricks there along the way. Also, just to show that being in the outdoors is approachable for anybody. If I can do it, if I can figure it out, or if I can find the time or scrape together some money to do it, anybody can do it. You don't need to be some big production to go out west on every trip and live out in the elk woods for all of fall. Go out on huge charters all the time. That's not reality for most people. And again, just be approachable for the outdoors is what I'm trying to show through that. And then if I can, if you never know what tomorrow brings, but if I'm gone tomorrow, my kids can go and look at, hey, how did dad do that? What was little tips and tricks there? And then I'm fortunate to have dad and uncles and everybody else to come along with me and guide me through the outdoors. I might be able to be that person to somebody else. So that's kind of where all that comes from.
Yeah.
You're talking our language, because we'll hit family here in a little bit. But Chris, why don't you just dive in a little bit here with, because David's he's talking our language.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, before we go forward with questions, you said it's approachable and people can do it. I mean, when we teach through 3B, we would teach kids and people how to get into stuff. Everyone thinks it's almost like golf, oh, it's going to cost all this money and I got to know this guy to get into this place. And you don't, man. You don't need all this stuff.
No,
I mean, does some of the gear help? Does some of the certain things? Yeah, it does. But you don't need all the decoys. You don't need all this stuff. Just find the right spot and go do it, man. So that's now you're speaking our language. So, how'd you get into when you're talking art too, you're talking my language. So building rods and all that kind of stuff. How'd you get into that, dude?
Building rods comes from, I was cheap, which is the understatement of when you go into building rods, it turns out to be more expensive. But I liked the higher end fishing rods. And if I thought I could use my sweat equity to have that higher end fishing rod with me building it myself and making it the way I wanted, have the grip length to size me instead of going and looking through a bunch of different rods, then I could build it. So that's what got tied into that. I only built a couple a year, but there's what I need. What I like. If I want to use some different technology that came out, I don't have to wait for one of the big names to come with it. You can get some things when you custom build rods. You can get it before the mainline rod building companies come out with it. So like with the micro guides or the microwave guides, you can use those. They came out a little bit before it. Like the Wind grips came out a little bit before for the custom rod builders before they came mainstream on all the store-bought rods. So that's what it really came out to. And then you get to kind of express yourself, put the colors you want, make everything look nice the way you want it. So
you're saying you're not a Zebco guy. Is that what you're saying to me right now?
I will not use Zebco. I mean, I'll be tomorrow night. I'll be fishing with my daughters, and there's Zebco there. But again, that's for its purpose.
We got a real good friend of ours that's fishing. We're going to go fishing with them. 2 weeks, Ron? We're going to go up to. I can't even say where we're going because I'm not one of your Pennsylvanians. Where are we going?
Well, don't disclose where we're going.
Okay, we're going. We're going far away.
Yeah, I don't like to share too much.
Yeah. But he's a big time guy, and I was telling him the other day, like, I have nice rods. I got some Abu Garcia rods and Shimano stuff and Berkeley stuff. But man, I'm going to get Zebco stuff. I just went to Bass Pro and got a new Zebco reel. I got a really cool old Zebco rod that was my late uncle's from the 90s, and it has that 90s look, like
Yeah.
that, like stereo, each component part of like that Firebird kind of matte plastic color to it. And I'm going to redo that and put a new reel on it and take that up when we go fishing with this guy. But
You go. It works
yeah,
just the same, to be honest.
I mean, where I'm at, because I'm not a tournament guy, I do fish a lot with the kids, but we're catching bluegill. Same thing, you guys are putting pictures up, you know. I'll try to catch the biggest bass I can, but I'm not a tournament guy. For me to go out and respool, you know, I'm not as into it as you are. You can just get a Zebco pre-spooled reel for what, $30?
Yeah.
And that's, if you go to Walmart and get it for cheaper than that, you know. But
Yep.
yeah, so that's my preaching for that. So how does that stuff though connect you? Like getting back into, how does that connect you with the outdoors and your kids and your family?
Well,
Like bring that full
I mean,
circle for us, bud.
the rod building and tackle craft, like I'll pour my own sinkers too, and jig heads. But really, I kind of, when you don't have time to go out and fish, you know, I can hop down into my work space in the basement, and I can work on that for 30 minutes. You know, and it's a little bit of therapy, just like going out for the evening on a night on the water in the woods. You know, it's still that therapy for me. So, you know, any of that little, you know, additional, like, you know, waves that are in the outdoors just kind of funnels back to a little bit of therapy.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Well, you just got back from an awesome trip, dude. So tell us some stories about Canada and some family. You went with your dad? Is that who you went
Yeah.
out there with?
Yep.
Hit us
So,
with some of that, dude.
yeah, so we got to go to Canada. This is actually our second trip, but how it all started really was like any Pennsylvania guy, you go to the Great American Outdoor Show. Okay, we've been going. That was always a winter trip. Dad would find some way to take me on his day off, or we'd go. Heaven forbid, we'd go on a weekend and deal with the crowds there.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd go, and you know, you're looking at all these trips all over the place, and it's just like, wow, it's yeah, you set up your bucket list really. And then a few years ago, we got to go to Texas to knock off a bucket list trip on hunting ducks to get pintails and redheads. But the caveat to that Texas hunt was an airboat ride. Everywhere we were hunting, the guides were taking you on airboats. So, you know, check that off the list. That's awesome. When we went in 2024, my dad was approaching 70 years old. So, hey, for your 70th birthday, let's go. You know, let's pull the trigger. Let's figure this out. Let's talk to some people up at the Great American Outdoor Show. Find a guide we like. Find within our price point we were okay with, and we landed on Caesar's North Camps, and we went with them in 2024. It was awesome. You're in the main area that you leave from is Clova, Quebec. For us, it's about 14 hours north, and so it's a 14-hour drive, but the last 4 hours are all dirt logging roads. And we're not talking like Pennsylvania State Forest logging roads. These are 4-lane wide dirt roads. About every hour you come into contact with a road grader. And I mean, we're talking like the big blade road grader. So they're always maintaining this road.
Strategically placed.
Yeah. They're always trying to fix things. It's still a rough ride though. I mean, it feels like you're at Lincoln Speedway going through the current turns. You know, the back end's fishtailing every once in a while. But I mean, you're white knuckled for those 4 hours, and then you pass a log truck. Okay, and these are I don't even know how many axles the actual tractor has. I think it's 3 axle tractors, and their trailers are longer than a 54-foot or 53-foot that are normal tractor trailers. These are huge tractor trailers, very tall, and they throw up a ton of dust. So you pass one and you are completely white knuckled. It's a blackout for vision. It's just dust, and you're hoping you're not going through a turn when you pass one of these. And so that's almost an adventure in itself getting there. Once you get there, this quiet little town, the main thing is it's a post office, a gas station, a train station, a restaurant, a liquor store, and a convenience store all in one. And that's the main part of town. The outfitters camps there with their airboat planes, and that's really the idea was for this trip was to check off the bucket list of flying in an flying in a float plane. So that was one of our caveats to making sure this trip, we had to like fly in a float plane. We just thought that would be cool. And it is, it's phenomenal. So once, you have a full day of travel, you stay in what they call a hotel, which is you rent a room. You walk down the hall to go to the bathroom and shower. That's their hotel. Then you fly out from the outfitter's main outpost, and it's about a 30-minute flight to the cabin, and you're there for 7 days. Their main communication is they fly over you once a day to check on you, and they give you, every cabin has a 2x2 square piece of plywood. One's painted red, one's painted yellow on the sides, and that's their communication with the pilots to say if you're in trouble, you need to come out today, or if you need to come out tomorrow. That's your only lifeline to the outside. We did rent a sat phone the first time we went. And now this time with the newer iPhones, you have the satellite texting situation that sort of works. So that was our communication to the outside world for 7 days while we're there. Cabins are pretty awesome though. They're rustic, but they do have running water, heat, hot water, a shower, flushing commode, everything like that. Everything runs off of propane fridge, freezer. So you're pretty set that way, and simple bugs. And then they tell you where to go fish on a map. They say, hey, try these spots, and then they let you go. And then you have a 9.9 horsepower motor on a 16-foot boat, and you just explore and try to do the best you can. And when we went in 2024, we did pretty good. We had a lot of walleye, a lot of shorts, they do a slot limit. I think it's 13 to 18 inches that you can keep, and you have a possession limit of 8. So throughout the week, you can eat as much as you want, but you can't have more than 8 on you per person. Then you get to bring 8 back if you're so inclined to do that. And then pike's about the same way, but it's 26 to 30 inches for pike. And it's pretty awesome. This year was a little bit different on weather. The crew before us actually got snowed on, and then we had 80-degree weather. So the lake was kind of in a turmoil, I guess turning over a little bit for water temperature, but we still hit walleye pretty good. I wouldn't say we had the numbers that we did in 2024, but we still caught walleye. We ate good the whole week. We brought home possession limits, but this time we got into big pike, and so that was pretty awesome.
Heck yeah.
To kick off the week, I was pumping water to the cabin. They have a gas-powered pump, and you fill up 2 55-gallon drums that are on top of the cabin. And so I was on the dock. I was like, well, I got 20 minutes to spare. So I'm throwing a lure off the dock, and bam, I had a 32-inch pike right off the dock. So that was
Wow.
that was my first fish of the trip. So that was pretty great way. And we pushed through the whole week, found some other good fish, and then the last night we were out fishing, and probably had an hour yet to fish, and we was a little slow and trying some new spots, and Dad hooked into, I think it was like a 30 or 32-inch pike, and we're like, wow, that's huge, that's awesome. Dad got his big pike. We had some other ones that were 26, 28s, but that 30-inch and bigger is what we were really looking for. And then we moved to one last spot, and we're actually catching walleye in this spot. It was a kind of a feeder creek. And then Dad hooked into something. I kind of thought it was the bottom. Wasn't sure, but then he had some movement of the rod. So we knew it was fish. And he's battling it on a walleye setup, not even targeting pike. It was just a simple walleye jig. It was just, I think that one was a twisted Mr. Twister, a green Mr. Twister on like a 1/4-ounce jig head. And gets it close to the boat, and I knew it was a big fish, and got in the net, got it up over, and it was just huge. It was 37-inch pike, but it was round and heavy, and actually broke the net when it was in the boat while we're trying to deal with it. And because you got this mouth that's just thrashing and wanting to chew up everything, and got it all, got our picture. It was perfect. Couldn't ask for a better way to end the trip, and so that was pretty awesome. That's how it went.
Awesome.
Listen, brothers, the fire is burning brighter. Tracks and Tackle Supply is officially open. We've got tough apparel built for real hunters. Shirts, hoodies, and hats that carry our message loud and clear. Plus scrape ropes from our brothers at Scrape Rope Company, A wide variety of game calls, whitetail minerals, attractants, and custom baits from High Octane Custom Baits. This isn't just a store. It's the next step in our hunting family. Every purchase goes straight back into the Tracks and Tackle podcast. Keeping the stories real, the traditions alive, and the campfire burning for the next generation. Head to tracksandtackle.com right now. Gear up, support the show, and hunt your hunt. Nature is our playground. Let's get after it.
We talk about this a lot, but how fun is it? How cool is it to like see your dad, have success at the thing that you go out to do? Especially like you said when you first started, it's like, come on, Dad, we got to do it now or never.
Right.
And it sounds like you guys, go back, you've, done it more than once, but just seeing your dad have success, it's like watching your kids have success, right?
Definitely. Because Dad's quite the outdoorsman himself, but I've kind of took it and ran with it. So kind of been dragging him along, last 10, 15 years of like, hey, let's get a little bit more serious into it. So it's fun to see, hey, he'd be fine just sun fishing and stuff like that, and to go after a big pike was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I love to hear those stories. So, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was the processing your own meat, right? So you do your own butchering.
Yeah.
Our families, I mean, that's the way I was raised.
Right.
We not just the venison, but I was raised on the farm, and we still to this day we butcher hogs once a year and that sort of stuff. And it's a family event.
Yeah.
So, I'll skin out and quarter up and grind up a deer myself if I have to. But I have just as much fun hanging out in the garage or the butcher shop with my nephew or my brother, spending that time post hunt,
right,
as the hunt itself. So
Right.
so those are some of the core memories that I have growing up that made hunting so much fun.
Right.
It was like, going back to the clubhouse after a round of golf sort of thing. So why don't you just tell me a little bit, because here's my question, I guess I want to angle at is, do you have a memory where you were learning like field care or, respect for the animal? Some of the, for me, sometimes the way I learn is the hard way, and doing it wrong or seeing somebody doing it wrong. But why don't you just talk about that for a minute? Because I love do-it-yourselfers.
Yeah. So my dad, when I was growing up, was always working shift work. And that cycle, you get your day off, or you try to take a day off, and so the first day of rifle season in Pennsylvania is pretty tough to get off where he worked. So he wasn't able to always get off. And our family cabin, it was built in the 60s by my 4 great uncles. So it was my grandmother's 4 brothers. That was their
Very cool.
camp. And like central Pennsylvania people or Pennsylvania guys, deer camp's a big thing. So everybody would be up there. I think it actually sleeps 10, but of course more people sleep in it than the 10 actual slotted beds, And as a kid, you weren't able to go up there until you're 8 years old. Okay. And so I finally turned 8, was able to go up to trout camp. Okay. And was able to go up to trout camp, was able to fish. Get to the fall, I'm 8, and I'm allowed to go to deer season. Dad can't get off, which is fine. Grandma took me along because Grandma would go up and cook, help out around. She get to hang out with her brother, so she didn't care. She would cook and stuff like that. And so she took me, and I wasn't able to really go out. I wasn't traipsing through the woods with anybody first morning. But I forget if it was my first year or one of the years after that. My great uncle shot a buck not too far from the cabin, and then somebody else shot a buck too. So there's 3 buck on the pole that day, and I'm 8 years old, 9 years old, and they're like, hey, join in, I'm learning how to skin it out, hey, take your knife and go through, yank, and keep going. And I just thought this was the best thing ever. Of course, first of all, I'm using a knife as a little kid, and
Exactly.
here's his deer. It was a nice 8-point, and the 2 others were nice 6 points. And there's still a picture floating around of me standing with the guys that shot him. And and then if somebody would take me out for a walk, stuff like that. It was always just that initial memory just kind of got me hooked. This is cool. This is, hey, here's a deer. You skin it out right away. That was always the thing from my great uncle is you got to get that meat cool. And that's how, if you ever had one of those gamey, it was probably because it wasn't processed right and didn't get the meat cool right away. And so that was just instilled in me at a young age. And there's always the horror stories and butcher shops that it's just one meat pile and all that kind of stuff. So nobody in our family would really take it to a butcher shop unless you'd bone it out and take your poundage of meat to go get bologna made. But other than that, you did it yourself. So that's kind of how I learned early on, and just continued with that. And you know, attempted making jerky, attempted making sausage, attempted making beef sticks and everything like that. And, just, hey, here I'm young and married and we're living off of pretty much venison for ground meat until it runs out and, just go from there.
I know
Yeah,
that's true.
we've all got those memories of being young and being included. And you
Yes.
touched on hunting camp and it being a family affair, and I want to touch on that. And Chris, I know you'll have comment on that too. But we talk all the time about it's like that rite of passage. Being a little boy and you're still young, but you're being included with the men.
Right. Exactly.
So I love that, man. I love that.
And there's times of deer camp where, you went and looked at the meat poles and, hey, let's go. Hey, somebody's like, hey, my buddy's camps like 30 minutes away. Let's drive to that one and see what they got, because you didn't have the quick access of taking photos on your cell phone and sending them to people. So you'd hop in a truck at night and, hey, let's go over to this camp. Let's go over to that camp. And you'd go see other people's camps and stuff like that. So, it's just, I kind of wish those times are still here, like, honestly, like the camp days aren't really there anymore, but, we're keeping that tradition alive. We still got, I think it's 6 of us pretty much go out. Maybe 4 of us will hunt, depending on tags.
That's all you need.
What's left. And it's still, we play cards and we have fun.
Yeah.
Like my one cousin, he's always tagged out in archery season with some crazy buck he had on camera that he had picked out and named and everything like that. But he still comes up, hey, he's like, I got 2 nights away from permission to get out. I'm going to camp. So
Yeah. That's
Yeah, I'm all about it.
It's a primal urge, right? I mean, really is.
Right.
To get together around the fire, cook the
Right.
meat, right? And well, I say this all the time, for anybody listening to it from your group, but growing up in Maryland, we had check stations where you had to go there. And that's what it was, what you're just saying, man. It was people drinking coffee and, I can't remember as a kid. You want to think it was like the country music videos, people drinking beer. I don't know if they were or not, but like, and they're high-fiving you. It didn't matter what deer you had because, when I was a kid in Maryland, they still don't, but they didn't have antler restrictions. So first day of rifle season, brown, it's down, and you're going in there and you almost look forward to that as a kid more than you did hunting sometimes. That was part of it, or we've said it before on here too, like our dad, again, before cell phones, we had a long driveway and we would wait on the porch when he would hunt. And he'd come back. If he honked the horn once, it was a buck. Twice, it was a doe. And we were waiting to see what he did. And
That's awesome.
And you jumped in the truck and went on tour. You took it to the check station and you
Showed
took
it
it
off.
to the grandparents' house. And then maybe he was going to give it to this person my dad's a preacher. Maybe he's going to give it to this person at their church. And then you went to the processing shop because we do it now, but we didn't do it as kids. My dad had a brother-in-law whose father had a shop, and we would drop them off there. And then it was the same thing. There's deer hanging. There's people outside smoking, cracking cold ones, laughing, high-fiving you. And you go in there and you're like, what's hanging up in the shop here?
Right.
So I get all that, man. That's just cool, man, to me.
And then for our camp, we were fortunate enough, we're big on opening day trout season. There's about the same crews up for opening day trout season. I'm pretty sure I haven't missed an opening day of trout season up at camp since I was 8 years old. I distinctively remember my mom having to come pick me up Saturday after lunch up at camp because we had somewhere to go. But I got that opening morning
You were able to go.
and slept overnight at the camp. And, just the same thing. It was, you're 8 years old, you're allowed to go. You went and got your first pair of hip boots. And my great uncle, who really taught me to fish up there, he was an avid believer that you use the fly rod. Okay. And I'm just saying you use the fly rod. I'm not saying you fly fished. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he used the old fiberglass rods. When I was 8 years old, he handed me one. I still have that one today. And he's like, it's a push button reel. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but like it was the spring loaded. So you push the button, the fly line comes back in. And it doesn't fight the fish at all. It just kind of pulls up all your slack. And he'd fish corn and worms and power bait. And that's on a fly rod. And it was just so you could drift through the trout hole perfectly. And I still, to this day, opening morning, I start out with a fly rod, fish the same way. Now I have a different fly rod, of course, now. I don't use the fiberglass 9 foot, that telephone pole type rod. But I'm fishing everything like that, corn, power bait, worms for my first session of the morning. And that's how we still do it. So it's in the same way, you get back, we have a spring at our camp, and everybody's showing what they caught, while we're cleaning fish, and kind of same like a deer camp, but just it's this fish camp. So
It's tradition,
yeah.
traditional memories and stuff. And these are the things that we sit and we talk about all the time, and I was watching that on your YouTube channel where you're using the fly rod on opening day and stuff. So it's cool that you brought that up. I remember when I first, I turned 12 and was allowed to tag along and like actually go hunt, got my hunter safety and stuff. We hunted in one of the northern counties along the PA, New York border. It was like a 4-hour drive, but when you had bucks from a successful bow hunt in the tailgate,
Yeah.
you'd prop them up just right. So driving down the highway, you got a 4-hour drive and you get guys slowing down or speeding up to see what you got in the
Right.
bed of the truck. Like that was fun,
Yeah.
as a kid. Those are the memories, and you're creating lasting family traditions by doing that sort of
Exactly.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's piggyback on that. Keep it going, dude. Give me some, reflections on why you respect all the stuff and what guides you, and then kind of segue that into give me an inspiring takeaway or lesson just from all this stuff that you carry with you. And you might have touched on
Well,
it already, but
yeah. So background, I have a environmental degree. So I have, I took that passion and went to college and got a degree in environmental studies. I work in the environmental health and safety field now. But, just that early on of, respecting the outdoors, cleaning up after yourself. Okay. You know, you're duck hunting, you're cleaning up your shells, you're walking through the woods, you see some trash, you just slip it back into your backpack. Just that respect to the outdoors. Same with fishing. Even I remember even as a young kid, you'd see a little bit of trash, and a couple times where we trout fish is not too far away from people's houses. So, and you're asking for permission that Friday night. Hey, do you mind if I park in your driveway to walk down to this hole? And sometimes you get that when you knock, you get that no. Yeah, there's fish in there, but people left trash in my yard last year. So,
Mhm.
you keep cleaning up, and you try to paint a better picture of outdoorsmen every time you're out in the field with that. So, a little conservation goes a long way, I feel, with that. So,
Yeah, leave it better than you found it. That's what I like to say.
yep, exactly.
So how about mentorship? One of the things that we're big on is mentorship and lessons, learning. I think I mentioned earlier, some of the best lessons I learned is from doing it the wrong way or seeing somebody, mess up, but passing it on, taking what tribal knowledge that you've gathered and then giving that to somebody else. Sounds like your uncles were doing that with you
Yeah.
as a young guy. How do you pass that along? I guess you're doing it also through your videos, right? Because you're
Yeah.
teaching tips, tricks, etc.
Yeah, so really, my hands-on is with my daughters. Just teaching them, about simple as tying a knot, to what we're fishing for, to the water, reading water, stuff like that. It's kind of tough to explain to a 5 and 8-year-old why we're not going to keep that sunny today.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, hey, we don't want to clean the sunny today, type thing, because we want to respect it. We want to be able to eat it if we kill it, type thing. So that goes hand in hand, continues on. Yeah, and just mentorship. Like would hunt and fish with my younger cousins. I can still remember I was probably like in my teens. I was probably 16, 17. All of a sudden, my older cousins disappeared, and I'm with my younger cousins, and I'm trying to get something out of a tree for them. They went and they're like, "Oh, Dave can watch them for 20 minutes. I'm going to go fish by myself." Type thing. And I still fish with those two younger cousins to this day. Hunt and fish with them, hunt with the older ones too. But yeah, I mean, you can mentor anybody. Anybody's a leader. So, and I take that for the learning aspect too. I can learn something from anybody. It doesn't matter who I'm beside. If they're completely novice, they might have picked up something that I don't know. Yeah, it's like how I got into ice fishing was I went with a guy, he knew about it, and I was like, "Hey, just let me learn." And I took and ran with it, and I make it a point every winter to I gotta ice fish a couple times. Even if I'm driving, up and back to Tioga where there's actually hard water, it doesn't matter. I have a passion for it now. So yeah, I mean, just mentorship goes up and down. You can always pass something on to somebody, and you can always learn something from somebody. So
Yeah. That's the roots about like what my group does. We're just trying to pass it on and keep the traditions going to our kids or whoever's kids, or even, me, I started duck hunting. Duck hunting took over my passions and stuff in my mid-30s. I'd never done it. And then now that's like my jam.
yeah,
I go out and shoot the first doe I see just so I can go back and duck hunt some more,
there you go.
like that's my thing, So if we can pass it on and keep it going and learn something new, I'm in, dude. No, that's Ron said it. You're speaking our language. So
So Dave, we sort of want to land the plane here as we're, approach an hour and that sort of thing. But why don't you give us a takeaway? Like if you had to say to, the audience is listening out there, they're introduced to you today. What's like the one thing from Dave from Lemon River Outdoors that you would want to leave as a lasting message?
Well, just get outdoors. You can find it any which way you can. I'm fortunate enough to go on canoe trips with buddies, and people know that I fish like crazy, and I don't fish for those 3 days. I'm out there just enjoy those guys. Those are all buddies, all buddies from high school. They barely fish. They're not what, but we just go out and hang out. It just just talk about work and talk about family and stuff like that, and kind of decompress for those couple days and just enjoy the river that we're on. I don't have to fish to feel that. So find whatever really trips your trigger in the outdoors, and just go into it. See what's out there. you know when we're canoeing in Pennsylvania, we canoe the west branch of Susquehanna. And my one good buddy, he's been all over the place. He went to college in Utah, and he ski bummed in Colorado and stuff like that. And he's just like, man, this is in our back door, our backyard. And we got some awesome scenery, some awesome outdoors just in Pennsylvania. So you don't have to go all over, but you don't have to go to Canada. You don't have to go out west. You can slip down to the Chesapeake Bay from here. You can go all over the place. We got kind of crazy mountains just all over the place in Pennsylvania, great scenery. So yeah, just see what's in your backyard for the outdoors and explore that. Go from there. Just start small, figure it out, and keep continuing, and always be learning. That's the other key. Don't be afraid to try something new. I had no right learning how to build fishing rods. I just started, just grabbed information. We have so much at our fingertips now of information that
Mm-hmm.
you can just really go from there. If you want to pick up a bow and you never shot a bow before, just pick one up, go to your local bow shop. They'll tell you as much as you need to know. If you want to pick up handguns, go to the local gun shop. They'll tell you anything. My daughter's showing a little bit of interest in rock climbing. I have no knowledge in rock climbing. We'll figure it out. Anything like that. Just don't be afraid to learn something new, and go after it. And if you figure out in 6 months it's not for you, well, it's not for you,
tried
and
it. Yeah.
move on to something else.
Yeah, it's funny, the couple thing, like you said about, we're just canoeing down the river. We go on a duck hunt every year down to the Eastern Shore. And I think we look forward to riding down together just in the truck and then going to the campground afterwards and cooking hot dogs and smoking cigars and just hanging out more than we do the duck and the hunting. I mean, that's the best part. And, secondly, touch on, try stuff. My best friend, one of my best friends is a taxidermist, and he just, word for word what you said. He learned it because he was into hunting and he couldn't afford an actual taxidermist. So he's like, I'm going to learn how to do this. And now he's like award winning. He does stuff,
Yeah,
and
see?
you know, all of our birds go to him. And you know, you never know something until you do it, dude. So get
Yeah.
out there and do it, man.
Yeah, I mean, like one of our favorite things is, I mean, archery ends on a Friday and bear season opens on a Saturday. Okay, so we're already at camp, and we don't have bears traditionally around our camp. We're in Perry County, so I don't know. 4 years ago, Dad and I were just like, hey, let's, we got this. There's a chance of a bear coming through muzzleloader season. Let's get tags. Let's figure it out. And at that time, I think maybe in our area, bear came back in that first Saturday of rifle season, something like that, something goofy. So there's chance, but we're like, hey, let's make an hour drive north to the State College area, and let's just walk around for the day.
Hmm.
And that's our biggest goof off day ever hunting. I mean, we take it not seriously at all. We walk, we set up and we hunt till about 8:30, 9 o'clock, go back to the truck, make some eggs and some bacon, and you
Carry
know,
on.
yeah, and have a little breakfast, and then we go for another walk, and then we might drive another spot, explore the state forest a little bit, drive around again, and find another spot, walk, and then go to the check station. It's just goofing off is just as much fun as harvesting, really.
Yeah. Yep. Can't say it any better than that, dude.
All about it. A couple of takeaways before we wrap it up. One of the things that I loved that you said, David, was give me 1 day a week outdoors at a
Yeah.
minimum. Even if I got to bank them, give me
Yep.
1 day a week. I think that's a great takeaway. Always be learning and try something new. I think that those are great life lessons that anybody can take away, apply, and grow. So, where can folks find you?
Lemon River Outdoors. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Check it out. There should be some videos coming up, like actual full length videos from our trip to Canada coming out soon. I just gotta buckle down and really edit those. Got tons of footage, almost too much footage to go through and to edit it up. So yeah, that's something that should be coming out. Some other little day trips, stuff like that. We're going to Utah for a canoe trip. My buddies that normally do West Branch, Susquehanna. We're going out to Utah again for the Green River. So there should be some footage on for that. But yeah, just all those things, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
Hardest part is you get all that great footage and narrowing it down to a short form video. So
Yeah.
I feel your pain, brother. Chris, final words, brother?
Nah, man, he said it best. Get outdoors, try something new.
All right,
Perfect.
folks. Well, we got Dave with Lemon River Outdoors. Go out there, check his content out, give him a like, share, follow. If you've followed us this deep into the podcast, give us a like, share, and follow. Tell a friend. Get outdoors. Remember, nature is your playground. See you next time.
See you guys.